His airness, MJ, Air Jordan, whatever you want to call him, he will always be the greatest all-around basketball player who has ever lived. His skills revolutionized the way the game of basketball was played, and his determination to win at all costs sets him apart from any other athlete in any sport. His 6 championships he won with the Bulls are his crowning achievement, and he has inspired countless kids to pick up a basketball. But what about his own children? Did they even come close to living up to their legendary father's legacy? Let's find out. MJ's oldest son, Jeffrey Michael Jordan, was born on November 18, 1988. And from the get-go, he was thrusted into a competitive environment. It comes with being the son of an NBA legend. For anyone who has ever seen MJ play or seen his personality, he was ultra-competitive during his playing days. And this competitive fire sometimes showed up off the court too. When Jeff was younger, MJ accidentally tackled him into a table when playing a game of touch football. Jeff also needed 30 stitches to recover, but that didn't discourage Jeff from competing when the time came for him to step up. In high school, Jeff was a solid player for Chicago's Loyola Academy. He started for the team for 3 seasons and was an all-league selection twice. He even led Loyola to the conference title and the best season the school ever had. But when the time came for Jeff to choose where to continue his basketball career, his preferred school wasn't interested in him. Jeff wanted to attend his father's alma mater, the University of North Carolina, but the Tar Heels didn't recruit him, so he had to look elsewhere for his next chance to play. Even though Jeff didn't generate the level of hype his dad did, he still received scholarship offers from Valparaiso and Loyola University Chicago. Several other schools also recruited Jeff, including Penn State, Davidson, and Illinois. In the end, he decided to put on the blue and orange and play for the Fighting Illini. But even though Jeff had made it onto a Division I basketball team, his career at Illinois can be summed up in one word: disappointing. In his time at Illinois, Jeff averaged just over 1 point per game, 1 rebound per game, 1 assist per game, and rarely any steals. Let's keep things in perspective though. Division I college athletes are some of the best in the country at their sport. Some of them have even world-class talent. Jeff was a solid basketball player and far better than most of us, but he simply didn't have the talent to compete with them. Unfortunately for Jeff, the NBA noticed this too. He declared for the NBA draft after playing for Illinois and UCF, but not surprisingly, he went undrafted. At this point in his life, Jeff realized that his NBA dreams weren't meant to be, so he started focusing on life after basketball and went to work for the company that helped make his father a superstar. Jeff interned for Nike after college and eventually moved out to Oregon to work for them full-time in various roles. He also founded his own business, the Jordan Avakian Group, a consulting firm. He was doing pretty well for himself outside of basketball. Unfortunately, Jeff most recently got in trouble with the law. He was arrested for aggravated assault while being treated in a hospital, but luckily it didn't result in any jail time or legal trouble. Today, Jeff Jordan just lives a normal life in Portland, Oregon, with his wife, Radina Aniva. But what about his brother? How close did Marcus Jordan get to achieving NBA stardom? Marcus Jordan was born on Christmas Eve 1990, and only 3 years later, he already knew how to dribble a full-size basketball. Like his older brother Jeff, Marcus attended Loyola Academy in Chicago and was part of their league championship team. But after his first 2 seasons at Loyola, Marcus transferred to another school in the Windy City, Whitney Young Magnet High School. While Marcus was there, he started popping up on the radar of college scouts, especially after he led the Dolphins to the 4A Illinois Championship in 2009. He was named the MVP of the game after scoring 19 points. After that, Marcus was named one of the top 100 guard recruits in the country. Unlike his brother Jeff, Marcus had a balanced game, scoring 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. This was good enough to catch the attention of several colleges, including Toledo, Arizona State, Oklahoma, Stanford, Davidson, Butler, Marquette, and Clemson. They all offered Marcus scholarships. To most of us, getting a scholarship to play for any school would be an honor. But Marcus unfortunately didn't get any offers from true basketball schools like Duke, UCLA, or North Carolina. What was going on? It didn't add up. Just like his older brother before him, Marcus wasn't recruited heavily by blue blood college basketball teams. This didn't make any sense. Marcus was a solid recruit, a well-rounded player, and was probably more talented than his older brother. Why wasn't any big-time school giving him a look? Ever hear of the Ball family? Schools were afraid of something similar happening if they recruited Marcus Jordan. No, LeVar Ball isn't anywhere close to MJ in terms of talent, but many schools fear the baggage that a player would bring with them, especially if they have an extremely famous or vocal parent. A team's head coach and their staff want to be able to focus on winning basketball games and developing their players for the next level. Dealing with off-the-court distractions prevents them from doing that. Not to mention, some schools were probably intimidated. After all, who wants to be the one to potentially tell MJ his son isn't panning out? Nobody would. Many likely passed on Marcus Jordan for those reasons. But one school was brave enough to take him, Central Florida. Not only was Marcus recruited by UCF, but his older brother Jeff also eventually joined him after transferring. The two Jordan brothers played for the Knights after Jeff transferred from Illinois. While Marcus played for UCF, he wasn't a superstar, but he became a solid player, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Marcus seemed like a likely NBA prospect, even by these numbers. But here's where things get weird. Marcus's older brother Jeff declared for the NBA draft and wasn't selected by a team. That's not a surprise. What is surprising is Marcus's decision to leave basketball behind after college. Even though Marcus likely could have placed in the NBA, he chose not to do it. Instead, he took a path that many normal parents probably want their children to take. He stopped focusing on sports and instead focused on finishing his college education and earning his degree. All that hard work eventually paid off for Marcus as he earned a degree in hospitality management in 2013. Not only that, but Marcus also used his degree and business skills to eventually open his own business, the Trophy Room and Air Jordan. The Trophy Room was originally a high-end sneaker store designed to look like the Trophy Room at MJ's house, where all of his NBA championship trophies and awards are kept. But after 3 years of business, the business switched to selling shoes online, which they still do today. Air Jordan, on the other hand, is a team-up between MJ and Jeff to go into the world of NFTs and next-gen entertainment. Even though neither Jeff nor Marcus came remotely close to matching their father's accomplishments as basketball players, they're still doing well for themselves in their own lives and careers. Some of you might want to be famous. It's the dream of many people. But when you're born as the son of the greatest basketball player to ever live, there's no dream of being famous. You're automatically thrust into the spotlight, whether you want to be or not. And you're constantly compared to your father in whatever you do. You may not get a normal childhood. This was likely the case for Jeff and Marcus Jordan. Even though neither of them has admitted it, the pressure they were under must have been extreme. For many famous children, this pressure multiplies, especially if they are forced into their parents' line of work at such a young age. But as we'll see later in this video, Michael Jordan did not do that to Jeff or Marcus. While he taught them everything he knew about basketball and gave them his competitive spirit, most of the expectations placed on them came from outside sources, particularly the media. This played a huge role in their healthy development as kids and teenagers. For as famous as Marcus and Jeff Jordan are, they've come out of things relatively unscathed, particularly mentally. In the cases where famous children aren't so lucky, things can get downright ugly. According to a 2011 article from Psychology Today, famous children only have a chance to avoid the darker side of life, such as drugs and alcohol, if their parents do what is in their best interest. But there are many cases where parents have a strained relationship with their famous kids, or they straight up mistreat them. Macaulay Culkin and Lindsay Lohan are two examples of child stars who either had pushy parents or they turned to drugs to cope. But in both cases, none of their parents were famous. They never had to handle the pressure that comes with being in the spotlight before having their kids. MJ obviously had to handle being a superstar before Marcus and Jeff were born, and he knew that he never wanted them to deal with the same pressure he dealt with. He knew how much the world would place his kids under a microscope. Even though MJ wanted Jeff and Marcus to have their own legacies, the chance that either of them would equal or surpass him as basketball players was unbelievably small. With that in mind, let's step back for a second and look at how unfair it is to compare Jeff and Marcus to their legendary dad. Michael Jordan is one of a kind. He had a natural talent few players have ever had, and he had the willpower to use that talent to reach new heights. In this blog article from Penn State, two of the biggest factors for whether a person becomes a superstar athlete are genetics as well as attitude. Jeff and Marcus Jordan certainly inherited some of MJ's basketball skill. They were Division I college basketball players, and they worked hard to get where they ended up. But if we're being honest, MJ was a dog, the alpha dog. He had a competitive streak that hardly anyone could match. The only one who matched him in that area is probably Kobe. MJ's sons did not even come remotely close to being as competitive as he was. The right mindset and attitude can cover a lot of shortcomings, and it can make a solid athlete a great one. Jeff and Marcus Jordan are athletic, but they simply did not have the extra gear their father has. Michael Jordan is the perfect storm, thanks to both of those qualities. It's extremely unlikely that we'll ever see a player like him ever again. LeBron, Kobe, Larry, Magic, and others are each legendary and unique in their own way, but no one will ever be MJ. And it was unfair for anyone to expect his sons to be on the same level. Pushy parents are the worst. You see and hear them everywhere. They're at every game. They either rip the coach for not playing their kid, or they embarrass their kid by how they act. Nothing is ever good enough for these people. They could learn a thing or two from the GOAT about how to behave themselves. Michael Jordan never acted that way when his sons played basketball. But what does he think of them now? Their NBA dreams didn't pan out. Is he disappointed in them? Frustrated? Angry? Far from it. Even though we know him for how competitive he was during his prime years, MJ didn't pressure his two sons to live up to his legacy. He encouraged them to work hard at whatever they chose to do, but he realized the burdens his sons carried growing up. He mentioned it during his Hall of Fame induction speech in 2009, saying, "You guys have a heavy burden. I wouldn't want to be you guys if I had to." MJ isn't a pushy parent, not even remotely. He supports all of his children in whatever they choose to do, whether it's basketball related or not. In a 2007 interview with the Today Show, just before Jeff's first game for Illinois, Michael was very open and honest about what he wanted from his son. "I want him to be his own person, MJ said. I want him to enjoy his life, whatever he chooses to be, If you play basketball, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, whatever, I'm going to support you with the love and every effort, every inch of my body." Jeff and Marcus have a legendary athlete for a father, but they've carved out their own path for themselves despite what the world expected from them. At the end of the day, MJ is happy with them and they're enjoying what they've chosen to do. When we look at MJ's reactions to how his sons have turned out, this makes complete sense. The pushiest parents often feel insecure. Either these people were pushed too hard when they were kids, or they were told they would never amount to anything if they didn't work harder. While MJ's dad, James Jordan, pushed his son to do his best, he was never pushy in a negative way. This same attitude was passed down to MJ when he had kids of his own. MJ was raised in a competitive but normal home. This led to MJ developing the confidence that he would need to be successful. The way James Jordan treated his son played a huge part in forging a 6-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, and Hall of Famer. Jeff and Marcus were raised the same way. They were always pushed to do their best when they played basketball. But MJ doesn't live through their success or failures. He doesn't need to. He has built one of the greatest legacies in sports history and maybe the greatest legacy in basketball history. Why would he have any regrets about it? He's accomplished everything a basketball player could possibly do. His kids wouldn't need to succeed to make up for his past failures. Michael Jordan's legacy is set in stone forever. Jeff and Marcus Jordan may not have panned out as basketball players, but what mattered most to MJ was that they gave their best effort at whatever they chose to do and that they were happy doing it. That's all any good parents can ask of their kids. Did you expect MJ to react like that? What did you think of Marcus and Jeff Jordan's story? Do you think it's fair to expect children of legendary athletes to follow in their parents' footsteps? Let us know in the comments below.